Hey guys, and welcome to another lesson with me, Rex Pearson from rexpearson.com. I hope you've had a good week and you've been practicing the old guitar here. If you haven't, hopefully this video will inspire you to pick it up and give it a go, learning some of these new riffs and licks. Now this lesson is all about guitar cliches. Now usually a cliche is something that you want to avoid in your playing, but personally, you never get a cliche without it being good in the first place, otherwise people wouldn't want to copy it. For beginner guitarists, it's a great way to access some of the best riffs is by learning some of these rock cliches. So I'm going to demonstrate them to you first, talk a little bit about them, and I'm also going to show you the tab in the corner there so you can learn with me at the same time. So let's get started. I'm going to give you a couple of rock cliches that you can whip out of the box whenever you're improvising, and I really hope it helps you out, guys. So let's get started. Okay, so let's start with the first riff. That's it. But basically you repeat that riff. Now that riff is made up of 3 notes. Most of these riffs are based around the minor pentatonic scale, so it's worth getting that shape under your fingers before you attempt some of these. And most of the best licks and best cliches work off of the blues note, which is an extra note that's added to the pentatonic scale to give it a bluesy vibe, and often you'll bend towards those notes. Now this riff basically deals with that. So you're going to be dealing with the 7th fret here, a bend with the 3rd finger. Now make sure your other 2 fingers tuck in behind here, but that the 1st finger is going to be barring across the 5th fret on the B and the E string. Now the idea is that you bend with the 3rd finger. As you bend, you then pluck with those 2 strings. Now the picking motion should be down, up, down. Then when you repeat the riff, you're going to start on an upstroke. Up, down, up, down, up, down. So the picking pattern is starting on a down on the first time and then an up on the second time. It catches a lot of people out, but if you don't get it right slowly, it then messes you up when you start to speed up the lick. And don't worry about the 2 strings ringing together, because that's part of the riff. Another thing to watch out for on the bend, make sure that you bend from the 7th fret at least a half step, which is 1 fret. Practice it nice and slow, build up the speed until you can get a nice cyclic pattern going, and then you've got a rock cliche that you can build into whatever you might be playing. Rock cliche number 1. Be careful when you're using these, they are overused quite a lot. Okay, rock cliche number 2 is a pre-bend around the same position. Now that one's used many times before. What you need to do is make sure that you've bent at the 7th fret on the G string here. You bend up before you pluck, and then you bend down, and you can either pull off and hammer on or pick each note. It's a great little ending to a lot of the rock cliches, so you might have as another, pinning the 2 cliches together and you get a sort of a solo building. Alright, let's move on to rock cliche number 3. Okay, rock cliche number 3 is a pretty overused one personally, but we can learn from it because it's quite a cool sounding one, based around the same pentatonic riff. You're bending now from the 8th fret on the B string, and you're going to do a 2 fret bend, aiming for that target note. Once you hit that target note, you're going to do a slight descending run. And here's how it sounds. You repeat the pattern. And that's the rock cliche number 3. Okay, rock cliche number 4 we're on now. Now this one breaks a little bit out of the pentatonic boxes here, and we're using what's called the Dorian mode of the minor scale. Don't worry about that, it's not something you need to worry about at this stage if you're a beginner. Basically, you're going to be barring across with the 3rd and the 1st fingers to produce something that sounds like this. Now, you're barring across the 7th fret on the G and the B strings. And the idea is that you bend towards the floor, then you bar across the same strings on the 5th fret, and then you finish with the 3rd finger on the 7th fret on the D string. You can always go back up and finish on that as well. And you can repeat it. And remember that the bend is rhythmical. It shouldn't just be a or really long. It should be part of the riff, so that you can feel the rhythm flowing through that riff there. That's rock cliche number 4. Okay, the 5th and final rock cliche is this one. Now that's really a blend of 2 cliches, 2 bends that are used very, very often. It's a bend, now I'm doing this an octave up, but you can do this in the same pentatonic position we've been working on, the A minor pentatonic position. You're bending here from the 8th fret, a whole step bend, and then as you bend, you flatten off the 3rd finger to hit the string underneath it. It's quite a difficult technique to do, but once you get it, you can then make the 2 strings ring together and get this cool sound. The next thing is to do the same thing, but then starting on the normal bend that we were doing before, on the 5th fret on the G string, sorry, the 7th fret on the G string, and the little finger creeps in here at the 8th fret to do the same thing. You do that an octave up and you get something that sounds like this. You do the next bend. I'm using the 2nd and 3rd fingers here, but you can use the 3rd and the 4th. You can throw that into your licks. And get a cool sounding riff. Okay guys, that's the 5 rock cliches that I wanted to show you in this week's lesson. I hope you enjoyed them. Make sure that you don't do too many of them too much of the time, because your playing will sound quite boring and stale, because as a cliche they are played quite a lot. But do learn from them and try and incorporate them in different ways and learn from them. For beginner guitarists, it's well worth learning them as they are, because it's a great way into lead guitar playing, and you can combine all the licks into one sort of mashup of cliches. And it sounds pretty cool. At least I think it does anyway. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're not already a subscriber, it'd be great to have you on board. The support, remember the comments below. I'm displaying some of these comments going by here. Thanks so much for all the comments on the videos. They're really, some of them are really funny, some of them are really interesting to read. All of them though are really important to me, so I'm really glad that you've been posting comments on there. Really appreciate it. And I shall see you next week on your next lesson with me, Rex Pearson from rexpearson.com. And I shall catch you guys in the next show. See you then.